Schönramer Gold.
And remember, life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. I've just had a Belgian beer that wasn't that great, and it was very bitter, not much flavour, and it was full of ethanol, and I give it a low mark, so I thought, to console myself, I will try some of this stuff. And this is the Schönramer Gold. Now this is a Marzen type beer. They've called it a Weizen Marzen, which is a new one on me. I'm not sure what they mean by that, whether it's got wheat in it or not, or whether it's just a cloudy Marzen, I don't know. But that's what it is. And I've had a few from this brewery before. They're not bad, I have to say. And their brewery goes back to 1780, as it says on the bottle. But they can trace it back even further. But they've chosen 1780 because that's when the current family who own it, they've owned it since then, and that's really when records began about the brewery. So they're sort of using that as the start date. But there is records of a brewery in this place since the 11th century, so it's got a bit of a history, if you know what I mean. Now they do quite a few beers. They do all the traditional style of German beers, but they do their own special type beers as well, you know, one-off brews, seasonal brews, etc. And they look like they know what they're doing. And I'm quite impressed by them, because the beers that I've had before, I think I've had their Helles before, that was really nice. And I've also tried, I think, their Dunkel, which was really good too. So this is their Spezial beer. I'm not really familiar with the term Spezial beer. I'm assuming it's just a special type of brew that they've come up with. Fucking Sherlock Holmes here. But according to them, it's a Marzen. So, you know everything that goes on with Marzens and all that. Usually they're fest beers. They're normally brewed, well, they were brewed up until the 1970s for the Oktoberfest beer. This lot come from, I think it's from Bavaria. So they would have been having their own Oktoberfest in, not the main one in Munich, but in their own regional area. And I'm assuming that's what this was brewed for. But obviously Marzen isn't the beer of choice now in the Oktoberfest, certainly not in Munich. Others may brew a Marzen, but now it's just the Oktoberfest beer, or fest beer if you want to call it that. I think only the Munich brewers are allowed to use the word Oktoberfest beer. Everybody else uses the word fest beer, but it's basically for beer that's drunk in October, and I think it's brewed in May, so it goes through that lagering. This goes through quite a long lagering process as well. I think it's 6 to 8 weeks, and they do it in open vats too. Some people do it in obviously big vats, and traditional German brewers do their lagers and bottom fermented beers in barrels. Some people do it in these open stone vats, and this is what they do. I am pretty sure that's what Schneiderweiss do with theirs as well, and I know Sam Smiths make a big point about saying that they do their fermentations in York stones, so it's not an unusual type of fermentation process. Anyway, let's stop gassing and let's get this bottle open. Let me tell you about what it is first. It's 5.7% ABV. It is 500ml. It is a Spezial type beer. It conforms to the Reinheitsgebot, which isn't a guarantee of good beer. All it means is that it will contain water, malt, hops and barley, or malted barley. It's not a guarantee of good beer, as I say. It's just an imposition that's been put on German brewers to not use any other ingredients. That has been amended or it was amended in 1992, so effectively they have circumvented that. They're not under any obligation to put the ingredients of the beer on the side of the bottle, which is a shame. I think Sweden is the only country that does that. I think every country should have to do that. Why not? You do it in every other food stuff, and you know, you've had so many food bodies and, you know, regulatory bodies set up concerning food standards. Beer just seems to have been left by the wayside, which is a real shame, because I like to know what's gone into my beer. Some brewers do it, some brewers don't. That's the way it goes. They're under no obligation to. And as I say, at the end of the day, it is all about the quality of the ingredients. You can say you're putting in water, malt, barley and hops, and you could have two brewers doing the identical thing, using the same type of ingredients, one using absolutely high quality ingredients, the other using cheap, nasty ingredients. And of course you're going to come out with two different styles of beer. One's going to taste really good, one's going to taste absolute shit, and on the side of the bottle they'll both have the same ingredients. So the Reinheitsgebot really isn't worth the paper it's written on. So there you go. Let's get it home. Let's see what's going on. Right, there's the cap. I quite like that. Nice full colour cap. My missus does resin casting. That's her hobby. And I've got absolutely loads of beer bottles. So I've decided that she can have them all, and she's going to make coasters, and she's going to do a pack of 4. One with your German beer caps, one with British beer caps, one coaster with Belgian beer caps, and one with world beer. She's going to put them in a box and sell them. I don't know how much for. If anyone's interested, let me know. I will give you more details. But she's pretty good at the old resin casting. She's taken it on as a hobby a while back, and she's going from strength to strength on that. Fuck me, I can hardly speak here. Right, on the nose. Lovely. Very sweet. Sweet, malty, chestnutty, honey type aromas like you would expect from a good German beer. Very clean smelling. Bit of floral notes on there, or some floral notes I should say. Yeah, it smells good. It smells like a typical German beer. Now that's a Marzen, and it is slightly cloudy. It's unpasteurised, I know that. They haven't said this is Naturtrube, so it has been filtered, but it has still got a bit of a cloud to it. Now I have seen these type of beers before. Some have been labelled as Weizens, and they really haven't been good. Others have been labelled as Marzens, some even Pilsners, cloudy Pilsners. But there it is in the glass. Yeah, it does smell good. Very bready, malty, you know, that freshly baked white bread type aroma. Liquid bread, the Germans call it. Lots of carbonation. Let's get it down the hatch. Zum Wohl, as they say in Germany. That's quite nice. There's quite a bit of sweet malt at the beginning. Then it gets slightly bitter on the finish, and that is a long-lasting finish. And it goes on and on and on, and then you get more sweetness back. So it's sweet, bitter, sweetness, and it isn't bad. Yeah, very light drinking, not bad. And there you're getting a little bit of the hot bitterness on the end, and then the malty sweetness comes back. Yeah, it isn't bad at all. I'm just looking on the side here. Does it give me any indication? No, it's just 5.7%. Very sparse on information. It does taste like a Marzen stroke Bock type beer, but there is a little bit more flavour in that because it's, you know, as you can see, it's a little bit cloudy, and it's not pasteurised, so you're getting quite a few flavours in there. There's a bit more lemon citrus coming through on that as well, and it's just a mixture of all them good German flavours. However, I wouldn't say it's the best beer I've tried, not by a long chalk. It's just okay as far as German beers go. Now, you compare this to any British lager, it will fucking wipe the floor with it. And when I say British lagers, I mean, you know, your craft brewed stuff, your macro brewed stuff. It's just light years ahead. Not because of the ingredients. Well, the ingredients obviously have got something to do with it, but obviously the Germans brew beer very well indeed. Their brewmasters are skilled at what they do. Now, that's not to say the Belgians aren't and the British aren't. They're very good at what they do. But when you try and cross over, I think it shows when it comes to bottom fermented beer. I think the Germans just have that licked. They know how to do it, and they do it well. And, you know, even this being an average tasting beer, and when I say average, I'm comparing it to the best in Germany. This is average tasting. It's still good, don't get me wrong. But you compare this to any sort of bottom fermented beers. There are a couple of exceptions. I'm just musing now that the Sam Smith's Organic Lager is one of the best British lagers, if not the best British lager I have tasted. But they've had a lot of help back in the sort of early 2000s. They had a lot of help from Inga. Again, another class German or Bavarian brewer. And they've obviously taken the recommendations off of them, and they've taken their know-how, and they brew an absolutely fantastic wheat beer. Honestly, you should really try the Sam Smith's wheat beer, and also their organic lager. As I said, for me, the organic lager is the best British lager you will taste, bar none. I don't care. I have tried quite a lot of craft brewed Helles, what they call Helles. They put American hops in it, and I just think, oh, fuck off. Why? Why have you done that, you idiots? As soon as you put American hops in a lager, you can just fuck off as far as I'm concerned. I don't know why people do it. Cloudwater do it. They put it in a Pilsner, and it tasted like a pale ale. And they're trying to pass it off as a Pilsner. And Muggins here bought it. And that's what happens. I get taken in. Well, I did. Not no more. I will never fucking make that mistake again. I get taken in thinking they're genuinely brewing a Helles. And then you look on the side of the can and they've got Cascade, Amarillo, you know, Galaxy, anything but, you know, noble hops. Or even, you know, you can even put some British hops in there. I wouldn't recommend it, but I'd be looking to get the noble hops in there. At least sort of, you know, Tettnang, Sarts certainly in a Pilsner, Hallertau of some description, and, you know, the other one, the Spout hops. But they put in all these American, I think they just buy and buy bulk and brew everything with these American hops, and you just think, why? Why have you done that? Anyway, rant over. Let's get back to the beer. Very nice indeed. Nice sweet honey aromas on it and flavours. Nice malty aromas and flavours. Yeah, it's just good quality beer. Not the best German beer, but it's still absolute class. So what's the verdict on Schönramer Gold? Yeah, they've called it a Spezial beer. It is a cross between a Bock and a Marzen. That's how I would categorise it. Bock being the the strong style bottom fermented beer. This is 5.7%, so you could argue that when you go over 6%, that's what bock beers are. This is sort of bordering on that. This is more like a Marzen though. It has got a little touch of the bock style to it, but this is more of a Marzen. It's slightly cloudy. I don't know whether you can see that in the camera or not, but there is a little bit of a hue to it, a cloudy hue, but it's not bad at all. I really like that. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. And the reason I'm not going to give it more is, don't get me wrong, it is a lovely beer. It is very nice indeed. It's just not the best that I've tried from this region. I'll tell you how much it costs now. I'm pretty sure it came from Beer Sniffers. I have got Schönramer Gold, £3.27. Well, that's a little bit over the top for what this is. A bottle of Augustiner Helles is less than that. Or is it? It could be slightly more. Depends where you go. But if it's a toss-up between the Augustiner Helles and this, it's going to be the Augustiner all day. But this ain't bad if ever you're in the region of, I think is it Schönram? And is it Schönram? What am I fucking talking about? You idiot. Yeah, it is. It's Schönram, which I think is in Bavaria. If ever you're in that region and you see their beers, they're good beers. I like them. So I have no problem at all giving this an 8 out of 10. And I recommend it if you're in the area. If you're going to spend that amount of money on the beer, you may want to think of other alternatives. If you want a decent, if it's lager you're looking for, this is a step up from the lager. It's a bit more full on than your average Helles, but just as refreshing. It's nice. Just the price may be a little bit prohibitive for some people. And there is better beer, all the Helleses, the good Helleses that are out there, the Landbrauerei, the Augustiner, Paulaner, the original Paulaner, etc., etc. So there you go. And remember, beer is working class champagne.